Hello, 7th grade science students. This is a quick video to give you directions and information that you need to successfully complete the investigation for Ecosystems Lesson 2. In this investigation, we are going to look at keeping score to help us classify the interactions of different living organisms. Here is a picture example of organisms interacting at one of the shrimp exhibits. Visitors at the zoo are really curious about what's happening, and maybe you have some questions too, like why this fish is allowing the shrimp into its mouth, if the fish is about to eat the shrimp, or if somehow both organisms could be benefiting from what's happening here. That's the sort of thing we're going to explore in this investigation. Scientists have identified many interactions between species, and we can classify the ways living things interact based on patterns of how the interaction affects each species. A species can benefit, then we signify that with a plus symbol, like you see here from the interaction. A species can experience a negative impact, then we use a minus sign, or they can experience no impact at all, in which case we use a 0 to represent that. Today you're going to look at different interactions between organisms. We'll look at some examples here first, and we'll use those symbols, plus to show an organism benefits, a minus to show it has a negative impact, and the 0 to show that there's no impact on the organism whatsoever. Here are some examples. In this first picture, the wolf is eating another animal. So the wolf is benefiting, and obviously the animal being eaten is harmed. So we would say this is an example of predation. The wolf is a predator. The wolf is benefiting, so we use a plus symbol, and the animal being eaten obviously is negatively impacted, so there's a minus sign. Here's another example. This botfly larva, pictured here, is using a person's arm as a place to develop. It can hurt the person, but it won't kill them. In this case, the botfly larva is benefiting from that relationship, so that's a plus symbol. The human is negatively impacted. It's harmed, although it won't die from it. That's the minus sign. And this is a relationship known as parasitism. The botfly larva is a parasite. It's feeding off of the human and having a negative impact on the human. Here's another example. The barnacles, the brown and white spots that you see on this whale, live on the whale. They get to ride through clouds of plankton that the whale eats. Most people think that the presence of barnacles on the whale has no impact on the whale whatsoever, but the barnacles are certainly benefiting from this relationship because as they travel through those clouds of plankton, they get food. So we classify this as a positive benefit for the barnacles and no impact on the whale, so the 0. This relationship is known as commensalism. And the last example here is showing us ants that care for aphids. So here's an ant, and then this smaller bug is an aphid. They get sugar from the aphids, while the aphids get protection from other pests by the ants. So in this example, both organisms are benefiting. We put 2 plus symbols to represent the benefit to both species. And this, when both organisms benefit, that's called mutualism. Now, let's take a look at your assignment to see what you need to do today. The document that you'll use for this investigation has been assigned to you in Schoology. It's the Ecosystems Lesson 2 investigation called Living Interactions. You have a table that looks like this, and you are going to go online to research the relationship between the pairs of species listed here. The first one is done for you. The first relationship is that between a lichen, which includes a fungi, and an algae. In this example, both organisms benefit. So we put a plus in the column for the impact on fungi, and we put a plus in the column for the impact on algae. And then the description says that the algae get protection from the fungi, and the fungi use the algae as a source of food. And then we need to classify this relationship. Since both organisms benefit, this is an example of mutualism. Now, if you look, you've got several more pairs of organisms to research. My recommendation is that you open up a browser like Google, and for each pair of organisms, type the name of the first organism, octopi, and the second one, crabs, and then the word interaction. And when you search those three things, you should find websites that give you information on their interaction. It might specifically tell you what type of relationship it is: mutualism, commensalism, predation, parasitism, or competition. Or it might just explain to you that one organism benefits and the other is negatively impacted, or that one is not impacted at all. Go back to TCI if you need a refresher on these different definitions, or rewind the video to see when we went through those. So you should be able to find info on all of these pairs of organisms. You might not find it on the first website that you check. You might need to use more than one, but they should be pretty easy to find if you use that search tip, the two names of the organisms and the word interaction. When you are done with the entire table, including your descriptions and complete sentences in this column, then make sure that you submit this document in Schoology and you are all set for the day. Good luck, and don't hesitate to reach out to your teacher if you have any questions or need help.